Welcome to the Scarlet Sitdown with Ellis and Josh, a daily Targum sports podcast dedicated to covering everything that goes on in Rutgers athletics. You may have noticed our name has changed now for the third episode. Well, that's because we've gone through rebranding. In the Scarlet Sitdown, we're going to bring on special guests every episode to discuss the hottest topics in Rutgers athletics. I'm head sports editor Ellis Gordon.
And I'm associate sports editor Josh Meyers.
And today we are joined by special guest Dean Peterson from the Rutgers wrestling team. Dean, how you doing? How you feeling?
I'm doing good. I got a couple hours in the sun today. I'm a little sunburnt, but a good day.
Now, Dean, I'm glad that the sun's out because it's been chilly. It's been really chilly lately. And finally it's warm on campus. Good vibes all around.
It feels like, the first good day, like warm day of the spring at Rutgers here. But, well, go on.
No, what I was going to say was, look, it's no sleeves, Ellis.
No sleeves. It's nice always. But we are here to talk about vibes in the warm weather. We are here to talk about the wrestling team. And the wrestling team just ended the NCAA tournaments. You entered the off-season. It's been a long season for the wrestling season. And what do you typically do early in the off-season? When do you start working out? How long do you rest? And when do practices start up again for the wrestling team?
Practices have actually already started back up. I actually practiced this morning for a couple of hours. But I took the last 2 weeks off. I didn't touch a mat, didn't do anything. But in my meantime, I've been gaming, I've been doing things, doing schoolwork or whatever, catching up on what we need to catch up on. But we just got back into practices. We got our spring schedule going on. Folk style season's over. We got freestyle going on now. I think the next time we compete is April 23rd.
So you mentioned schoolwork. How do you balance schoolwork and your wrestling stuff? I admire how athletes can just balance that stuff, and I think it's really cool. So how do you balance it?
I'll admit it's not easy. I struggle a little bit sometimes trying to balance it, especially during the season when you're traveling, you're on planes, you can't do work, you can't be in class. But I really just try to be better with my time management. I try to schedule my day so I know where I'm going to have time to catch up on schoolwork or do something I need to get done.
Props, bro. That's unreal. I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
It's kind of going off that. Is for schoolwork, is this the best time now, the most free time you have in the wrestling season? Because I assume practices only ramp up in the fall as the season begins.
Actually, during the season, our team usually has a better team GPA. Just because it's crunch time and we have to manage our time so well and we're so disciplined during the season that our grades are usually better during the season than in the off season. We kind of slack off a little bit in the off season. That's
funny because I also feel like when I have more work, I do better in my grades. But
yeah, that's interesting.
So, speaking of the traveling, you did a lot of traveling this year. You first went to Ann Arbor for the Big Ten tournament, then you fly out to Tulsa, Oklahoma for the NCAA tournament, and you were one win in the blood round away from becoming an All-American, just came up short. How do you assess your season, and how do you assess the wrestling team season at large? This was the first year, I believe, in a couple years that the wrestling team didn't have an All-American, but a lot of people came close. So how do you take stock in the season, and then work towards improving?
Obviously, I have big goals for myself. Coming into the season, it's always you want to win the whole thing. And then to not even All-American, for me, it was kind of heartbreaking a little bit because you know what your goals are and what you want to achieve. But I take pride in I was the furthest Rutgers wrestler to advance to the blood round. No one else advanced to the blood round. Even though I wasn't an All-American, I can take a little bit of happiness in that. But it's hard to come to terms with sometimes after such a long season. It went by so fast, but at the same time, it dragged on. I was kind of happy it was over a little bit.
So it was a great season. Almost becoming All-American. That's very cool. I guess with this trip to to Michigan and Tulsa, what was your favorite moment? I guess outside of wrestling and maybe inside wrestling too, with your trips to Tulsa and Michigan.
One of my favorite moments when we were out in Tulsa is we just decided to go and buy cowboy hats. Me, Joey O, and Andy Clark bought cowboy hats, and we were wearing them to the arena and everything because obviously you're in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Yeah. How could you not buy a cowboy hat?
All right, but you're not a Cowboys fan, right?
I am not a Cowboys fan. You guys might not like what I am.
What?
I'm a Mets and a Giants fan.
Okay.
I'm also a Giants fan.
Yeah. He's a Yankees fan, though.
I'm a Yankees fan.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a weird mix.
It is a weird mix because usually it's Mets and Jets.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm a Phillies fan. And so he was yesterday. The Yankees.
I was waiting for that.
Yeah, yesterday the Yankees beat the Phillies, so we were watching here.
We've been trash talking all.
Yeah. I can't say anything. The Phillies haven't been very good to start the season. Hopefully they'll rebound.
Aren't they 0-4?
Yeah.
Way to bring that up.
Yes, thanks.
Well, the Mets got blown out 10-0 yesterday. So.
Yeah.
you redshirt last year. Now you start this year, and then what's it like to redshirt? Because I think there's not a lot of. I think a lot of people don't really know what it's like to redshirt. They just see someone's redshirting and look past them, and then how does one improve during the redshirting season? And then do you think getting and then kind of this two-part? Do you think getting like one away from the blood round like that's going to motivate you all this season?
So my redshirt year is a little bit different because obviously the point of a redshirt is to like get used to college wrestling and like compete. I think that's the biggest part of taking your redshirt season is competing as much as you can. But in my case, in the fall last year, I ended up tearing my hamstring. So I was out for a good 2-3 months, and then I came back in December, and then I got pneumonia, right? So I was out for another month, and then I got pneumonia again, back-to-back times. So I didn't wrestle my first college match until the end of January last year, and I only got 2 matches or 3 matches. So I didn't have the typical redshirt season like T. White had, where he was like competing every other weekend and getting better. That was like, that's what an ideal redshirt season is, just competing as much as you can and doing whatever. What was the second part of that question?
Oh, I was just saying, you got this season, you started, and you got one away from the blood round. How does that motivate you for next season? So you got one away from All-American, you got to the blood round. How does that motivate you, like, for next season to start to, like, actually become an All-American?
Well, when I about a week after that match, after I did an All-American, my coach said, remember the feeling. He said, remember how you felt when you didn't achieve what you wanted to achieve, and use that as motivation. So that's kind of what I've been trying to do.
Yeah, so you mentioned your coach, and your head coach, Scott Goodell, he just finished his 16th season on the Banks. I mean, what's it like having him as your head coach?
I think it's awesome because I grew up around Rutgers wrestling, especially when he started. So I came to all the matches when I was younger. I was in the locker room with the guys. I was like right behind the bench, sitting behind the whole team. So Goody's just built such a program over 16 years. He's just been getting better and better.
Yeah, and you talked about being in the fans. What's the fan support like for the Rutgers wrestling team? Because you guys against Penn State, the last home game, you guys sold it out, and there's pretty good fan support overall, especially for wrestling programs where it's not necessarily always the most popular sport at schools. But Rutgers wrestling has pretty good fan support. What's that like?
I think it's awesome. I think the support from the fans is great. It's always nice to go into your home arena and see that every seat's filled. It's a little bit of a confidence booster, and I think it gets in the heads of opponents too. They feel it. They feel the crowd.
You're 125 pounds. How do you keep your weight at 125 pounds? I mean, I think it's very interesting that wrestlers, have to, watch their weight and stuff like that. And I actually, I ran into Andrew Clark at Starbucks once, and he ordered an ice water from Starbucks. So I guess he was watching his weight. It was actually before the Nationals.
Exposing trade secrets?
He might get in trouble for that. He's at Starbucks. No, I'm kidding.
Okay, good. But yeah, how do you just watch your weight like that?
Scared him.
You scared me a little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
But I only touch down at 125 usually on match days. Okay. I don't see 125 on a scale in the off season usually. Not even close. Like right now, I'm sitting at around 137. Right, so I'm like, so after a match we're weighing, I'll be 125 or whatever, but I'll never get more than like 132 during the season. I try to stay within like 5 or 6 pounds, so I can cut that out during the week, and then when I need to weigh in again, I weigh in again. But I never get too high or I never stay too low because then your body really starts to feel the weight cut.
Yeah.
What's it like cutting weight? Is that just like, I've never been around many wrestlers, but from what little I have been around, they just say it's like a lot of it's like. Get like water plus sauna is what is like. I haven't been around like honestly experienced wrestlers like you. So what's it actually like?
Well, for one, sauna you can't use that in college. That's an NCAA.
Oh really?
Oh
wow. Yeah, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, so you're not supposed to be sauna.
Didn't you go in the sauna, Ellis? You told me you went to the sauna.
Yeah, but not for weight loss purposes. Okay. Anyway, go on.
But it's just really a lot of discipline, really. And I wouldn't say it's just water. You can still eat and drink. It's just the amount that you eat and what you're eating. You have to be really disciplined and have a strict diet, or you're just not gonna compete to your like full potential. You're not gonna have any energy if you're just drinking water and going in the sauna. You won't be able to sustain that over a season.
So let's say you needed a cheat meal to get you like close to the weight that you need to be. What are you having and why?
Cheat meals. That's the problem with being a wrestler. Is I have so many favorite foods.
Okay.
But if I had to go with something, it would probably be pancakes.
Pancakes
from
IHOP? Yeah?
Yeah. I like homemade pancakes more than.
Oh, my bubby makes the best pancakes.
Yeah. My mom makes great pancakes, so I was like, I couldn't pass up some pancakes from mom.
Oh, of course. I mean, pancakes from your relatives, like from your mom or in my case, my bubby, my grandma. Pancakes are very good.
I definitely have that same experience. But in terms of here, Rutgers, when you can't make yourself pancakes, or maybe you do make yourself pancakes, but, we've been asking this question to everyone on the podcast. What's your favorite place to eat over here?
I'm going to go to a dessert place. Thomas Sweets.
Oh, they have such good ice cream.
Their ice cream flavors are so good. Their cake batter flavor. Their birthday cake flavor, too.
I really like the chocolate with the peanut butter. It's so good.
It is a good one.
I do the...
and it's protein, too.
I do the peanut butter Oreo, mix. You know that one? It's good.
Yeah.
With a Reese's Pieces or something. I don't know. It's good, though. Thomas Sweet is valid.
I mean, you can't go wrong. I mean, Easton Ave has a lot of good restaurants. I know with when we talked to Peyton and Kylie of the softball team, I said Stuff Your Face, which is right down the street it's very close to Thomas Sweet.
Yeah.
The Stromboli place, very good. Strombolis are good.
Strombolis are very good.
Very good. So on the topic of food and cutting weight, to keep your weight and to keep your strength, what routine do you go through in terms of lifting weights and just practicing and eating protein? When you're not trying to just cut the 5 pounds or however many pounds on like an off season, right now, how do you manage lifts with practice?
Honestly, it's kind of hard because I feel like after I lift, I don't want to wrestle, and after I wrestle, I don't want to lift. So I kind of have to mix and match the days that I'm lifting and mix and match the days that I'm wrestling. So I'll probably be lifting 3 days and wrestling 2, instead of obviously because we're out of the season, I won't be wrestling 3 days. There's no reason for me to be on the mat that much, and instead I'll be in the weight room, building up muscle, getting ready for the next season. And
what is important? What do you hit as a wrestler in terms of weightlifting, or is that just everywhere?
What do you mean?
Do buys in back? What's really important for a wrestler?
Legs, because there's a lot of explosion, a lot of whatever. So we do a lot of cleans, a lot of squats.
Ow, that hurts.
Yeah.
I really don't like that much, but I already know it hurts.
Leg day's my favorite day.
Really?
Yeah, that's how you know you're a wrestler.
Yeah,
I hate leg
guy's
day.
a wrestler, you can tell.
I hate leg day.
You've been on the Banks for just a short time now, but what's been your favorite wrestling moment?
It was probably wrestling against Penn State, just because I had such a dominating win, and it was the last match of the season, and I knew it was sold out. It just made that moment so much more special.
Yeah, it looked packed there, so that'd be cool. I mean, I know I like to perform well in good crowds. I'm not a wrestler, but I've played some.
What crowds have you performed well in, Josh? Not to put you on the spot or anything.
20 people in a street hockey game. I've scored. All
right, street hockey, 20 people. It's very comparable to wrestling versus Penn State.
There's a lot of pressure in that.
It's a lot. I scored a couple goals in the playoffs too. So
was that high school street hockey?
No, it was rec street hockey when I was in middle school and high school.
All right,
it's fun.
No, definitely not bad. Not bad. Yeah, no difference between that and Jersey Mike's Arena.
No, not at all. Honestly, not at all.
You mentioned Penn State. Obviously, Big Ten is stacked when it comes to wrestling. Definitely the best wrestling conference. You knew that going in. Everyone knows that. You got powerhouses like Iowa and Penn State. What do you when you look up to those powerhouses? Obviously, you can't be fearful, and you won your match against Penn State. But as a team, how do you prepare for because those two are probably the 2 best wrestling programs, or if not top 5. So how do you prepare as a team for those really hard Big Ten matchups?
We try to keep it simple. It's really just the basics that win matches and everything. So if you do all the little things right, then you have a chance to beat anyone. I think the best part about wrestling is anyone can beat anyone on any day. I mean, we saw Spencer Lee lose in the national semifinals.
Oh, that was crazy. Were you there for that?
I was.
Were you watching?
I was on the other mat.
That's so...
Oh, man. My bad.
Oh, sorry, dude.
No, because I'm walking off the mat after I lost my match, and I see him get pinned, and I'm like,
yeah.
So it's just, you got to believe that you can beat anyone, too. You step on that line, you're not wrestling a name, you're not wrestling a ranking. You're just going out there and you're doing your thing,
Yeah, and then kind of want to take it towards, the actual team and just maybe, some superlatives for team play. And you could say yourself. So that is very you're allowed to say yourself. So who do you think is, the funniest wrestler on the team?
Funniest? I don't know. I think Saldano's pretty funny. because he had the stash going and everything too.
I-
And
yeah,
he's just a, you know, the way he wrestles is the way he is as a person too. He's just funky.
This guy has a stash sometimes. You just stash
Sometimes.
right now?
Not right now.
Sometimes.
Who's like the most like intense wrestler on the team?
Intense.
Guy the Tiger, you know.
That's a tough one. But I honestly, Heilman probably. Heilman's tough, you know. He's always going. He's Heilman.
Who's the most serious? Like who's like doesn't let like any has no cracks. It doesn't let anything open.
Probably Britain.
Yeah, I feel like as a wrestler, you gotta be that. You gotta be that.
You know, you can have that tough guy persona, but like when you're with guys all the time, like in the locker room and everything, they're just
chumming up.
They're
Also,
of course.
Yeah. Also, I feel like Coach Cadell is such like a eccentric. You know, like
he tries to open everybody up. You know, you gotta open up. You can't just hide in a corner or whatever when he's around. You know, he's gonna start a conversation. He's gonna talk to you. He's gonna grab you a little bit too. He's gonna shake you maybe.
So I feel like wrestling is like an interesting sport with golf and tennis where it's very, obviously you're in a team, but you know, you're just out there with you, maybe you can have baseball to list, but out there with you and like the other wrestler and the mat. What do you say? Do you say anything to yourself? What are you thinking before a wrestling match is about to start?
I'm not really thinking about anything. What I'm doing is I'm probably visualizing what I'm going to do in the match. So if I like visualize and I see myself getting a takedown, then I can go out there and get a takedown. It's like if I visualize it, I can make it happen in a match.
And is there any like mental things you do other than visualizing? Like maybe not the second before, but like the night of, like you're like before your big match.
Lights out before 10 o'clock. I'm getting my probably 8 to 10 hours of sleep if I can.
That's good. I got like 6 hours, like 5 or 6 hours of sleep the other day.
I think I average 6. It's bad.
Yeah,
it's bad. But
you gotta sleep.
Again, that's why we're not wrestlers.
That's true.
So
that's true.
That does make sense for us.
Yeah, definitely.
That we got a lot of good insight to the Rutgers wrestling team. To Dean Peterson, best of luck next year in the future in the off season. Hopefully, no hamstring tears. Or any other injuries, and
pneumonia, not pneumonia. Didn't you say you had pneumonia?
Pneumonia.
Yeah, I said
pneumonia.
Pneumonia. I don't know.
What? All right. Anyway, that aside, thanks for watching or listening to the Scarlet Sitdown with Ellis and Josh, your podcast for everything Rutgers athletics. Thanks, Dean, for coming on, and don't forget to follow the Scarlet Sitdown podcast on Spotify, YouTube at the Daily Targum, and on Instagram at Scarlet Sitdown. Stay tuned for more podcasts in the coming weeks.